Are you sober and pretty isolated right now because of COVID-19? Are you sober and like, what, is anything ever gonna go back to normal? Listen, this is a podcast where we talk to various people from all different walks and lengths of sobriety about how they're staying sober and sane during these trying times. This is Sober During Crisis. What's going on, everybody? It's Ange Buxton, your host. Happy to bring you another episode of Sober During Crisis. Just a quick check-in. To be perfectly honest, to be rigorously honest, as some would say, I'm having a hard time not wanting to completely zone out and escape from reality right now. It's really sinking in that we're going to be in this COVID-19 situation for much longer than I anticipated. And while that does make me somehow even more excited to continue doing the podcast, right? Because it's like more weeks inside and more time without having my physical meetings. It's also like just really scary on a health level. I'm seeing our numbers skyrocket. I'm seeing lots and lots of people resist wearing a mask when it seems really obvious that that's one way that we can contain the virus. And, just feeling really frustrated with the country at large and knowing that, this isn't going away anytime soon. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I started this podcast when I did. I'm very grateful to continue to have conversations with people I know and strangers from the internet about how they're staying sober and sane right now. It's been just pivotal in my recovery. But yeah, I really want to just like zone out and not think about shit. With that being said, this is definitely one of my more serious conversations. Not that there still aren't plenty of laughs. That's one of my favorite things about people in recovery is that no matter how shitty the lot we're handed in life is, there's always something to laugh about and some way we can find to have fun. But Asa, our guest this week, has an extremely heart-wrenching story. Just some of the darkest times that anyone can imagine getting through without drinking or using. And his willingness to share this story and put it out there and shed light on it is truly beautiful. I don't really need to say much more as a way of introduction, except that I'm glad you're here. So let's learn some stuff together on Sober During Crisis. What's up? How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I like your hat. That shit's dope.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
I've always been someone who's felt like if I can get my story to help someone, then all the crazy bullshit that happened wasn't for nothing. So I don't keep anything to the vest. I don't have any limits. There's no questions that are too difficult to answer. If one person hears what I have to say and it helps them with anything, then I've done something positive and something good with what's happened.
Hell yeah. Wow. Yo, that's so inspiring. So how's your life in quarantine? Tell me about, walk me through what's a day to day in your life.
Well, that just changed dramatically. So when this all happened, I was incarcerated.
Shit.
I was serving a year bid in the Hampshire County Jail when the virus started hitting. And, I was always joking hey, maybe they'll let us out early on account of the end of the world. Soon enough, we started seeing in the news that jails all over the country were actually doing that.
Oh, shit.
And, and we were like, oh, fuck, maybe I wasn't kidding. Maybe this might actually happen. And sure enough, on March 22nd, it was a Monday. I was celebrating with my family because I had 99 days left to serve. I was finally in the double digits. And then the following day, my case manager came to my door and said, "Pack your shit. You're going home today."
Oh, hell yeah.
And then I spent the next 3 months on house arrest. My ankle monitor just came off on Thursday.
Shit.
So
Awesome.
I haven't even been free for a week yet. My quarantine was very much sitting in my house doing essentially fuck all because I couldn't leave my property. I could go outside for a cigarette, but that was about it. I couldn't walk down the street. I couldn't go to the store.
Damn.
So I haven't really been a part of the world since September of 2019.
Shit, as crazy as that is in some ways, because my dad's been in and out of Hampton actually a lot too, but he would like come out and just go crazy, like so. And I guess in
Right.
a way, like coming out and everything's shut down anyway, you don't have to put that pressure on yourself to just like jump back into society. I don't know.
Yeah, that was definitely like I was glad that I was sitting at home, scrolling Instagram and Facebook and whatever and seeing all my friends talk about how miserable they are because they're stuck at home instead of like me being stuck at home and seeing everybody else have like a beautiful time at a restaurant or like
Yep.
going to this wonderful park and going on these crazy adventures. Everybody was stuck inside and miserable. So I guess it was a pretty good time to be on house arrest.
Hell yeah. And you're like, well, this being at my house is, I mean, I can't speak from experience, but I can only imagine being at your house is probably 8 million times better than being in fucking Hampton County
Right.
Jail, Hampton County Correctional Center. Press 1 to accept the charges.
Right, exactly.
That shit sucks. I mean, and it's hard on everyone too. How's your family been?
Well, I'm close with my brothers. They're 14 and 16. And they took it all pretty hard. What led me into jail was really dark and fucked up. I was driving down the street. I wasn't high, I wasn't drunk, I wasn't on my phone. I just missed something that I should have seen, and there was an accident and somebody died.
Oh
Um,
shit.
but I was making a left turn, a left-hand turn. So in motor vehicle accidents, whoever's making the left turn is always at fault because you're supposed to yield, and I didn't. So I did a year for vehicular homicide.
Dude,
So
that's
they were
that just
all,
gave me chills, yo.
yeah, they were all very, very distraught over the whole thing, and it was a big ordeal for my family. And
Cause that could really be anyone. Like it could have been anyone.
right, that was something that I would talk about with the COs at the Hampshire jail was like it could have been any person. It can happen at any point in time. Just one second. If I had hit my brakes 1 second earlier, probably would have just gone about my day.
Damn, homie.
But I mean, like, it's tragic that there was a life lost, and I carry a lot of weight and guilt from that. But I guess a good silver lining was that it helped me to realize that all these things that I've been carrying with me for years that were holding me down were all really fucking stupid. And weren't like real problems. They were just shit that I was fixating on because fuck, I don't even know. But it definitely like really put on a new pair of glasses, I guess. I saw everything differently, and a lot of the difficult stuff in my life that I've carried for a long time has really just like completely vanished. Like I don't think about it anymore. And I think about how lucky I am that this happened when I was sober.
Yep.
And
So wait, cause like honestly, like I don't know if this is going on a limb or if this is just really obvious, but like you were definitely a victim of circumstance. And in that
Mhm.
instance, like were you already sober before you went in, or like what was the deal with
Yeah, I was.
Oh
So
shit.
I wasn't arrested on the scene. I got I got cited for failure to yield and negligent operation of a motor vehicle. The negligent operation got dropped and changed to vehicular homicide the following day because the person who passed didn't pass immediately. They died the next day.
Damn.
So it wasn't like an immediate thing. I went through about a year of pretrial. My accident happened in July of 2018, and I didn't go to jail until September 30th of 2019. So that was like a year and a few months where, it was just kind of like, it was like purgatory, not really knowing what was going to happen, where we were going to go.
Damn.
I think that, maintaining my sobriety throughout that period of time was probably one of the largest challenges I've ever had to face.
Hell yeah. That's so much stress. And then
Yeah,
you did end up having to serve time, which almost like, thank God I was stressed because it was for a reason. But on the other hand, like, damn, you just
right,
lost mad
right.
time being anxious about some shit.
Yep.
Now you still got to do it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and then, I went in and I served my time. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't fuck around. I didn't get into any fights. I didn't get into any bullshit.
Word.
I was only in the general population for about a month and a half before they sent me to the minimum security unit, and I was in minimum security for probably about 35 days, and then they sent me to their pre-release work release building
Oh, that's what's up.
where
Yeah.
yeah, where I wrote out the last 3 months, a little bit more of my sentence. And the pre-release at Hampshire County Jail is incredible. It's like it's a house that the jail bought. Like it's not some other locked brick cement building that looks terrifying. It's just a regular old house. Before they even take you down there, they put an ankle monitor around your leg because none of the doors are locked, none of the windows are alarmed. Um,
So you basically, it's like good behavior. Because I remember my dad being mad that they wouldn't put him over there, but I mean
yeah,
he's a flight risk, so it was not possible.
right,
But
right.
that's what I heard. I heard that it's basically the best way to transition out, and then going to house arrest
Yeah.
from there. I mean, yeah, that can. I mean, I feel stifled thinking about it, dude. Like, how are you feeling?
Now I'm feeling fucking relieved
Hell yeah.
to have that monitor off my leg and to be able like to just do normal people shit, like go to the post office and check my mail, or go walk to the gas station on the corner because I ran out of cat food, normal people shit.
Yeah.
And stuff that I had definitely taken for granted before everything that had happened. I'm feeling much better than I have in a really long time. I know it's like such a bullshit cliche, like people go into jail and then they come out believing in a higher power. But I found what my higher power is, and it's basically just Mother Earth and this beautiful planet that we live on. It's something real that I can see and I can feel and I can touch and I can believe in, and it's made a fucking world of difference, man.
Yeah.
Like it's unreal, like the clarity that it's given me. I know that if I do the right thing and I work hard and I earn it, that Mother Earth will always provide.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
like,
and that's
honestly, we're pretty similar concepts of a higher power, minus time. And it's like the
right,
idea that time expands infinitely backwards and forwards. It heals everything. If you know,
right.
blah, blah, blah. Basically, when you rebuild your life over time, things get better. Some of that has to do with like neuroplasticity and shit like that. But, to
Yeah,
me, it does I mean, Mother Earth is right in there. It's so many layers. So much of it is just so far out of human control. Like, that's lit. I really like that. And I hope other people hear that and go, like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Can grasp that. I
yeah.
get so sick of people talking about doorknobs. Like, that doorknob is not a fucking higher power. Get out of here with that.
Right. And it's like I always had such a hard time as a child, thinking of God. It's always seemed like a scapegoat because the people in my life would do shitty things and be shitty people, but as long as they kneeled before their bed at night and prayed to this thing, then suddenly they were a good person, and it's like they didn't do all of these shitty things that they did that day. And
Oh,
it
man.
just it just seemed like such a cop out and such a scapegoat to me that I couldn't get behind it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I got a lot of family members like that where they think they're doing things in the name of the Lord, if you will. And it's like, you're really not paying attention to your human connections. You're not actually living on our planet. You think you're living on some
Right.
corporeal, whatever the word is, like like some plane beyond us, and you think you're a saint, but you're not actually
Right.
attached to what's happening down here.
Right, absolutely. And it's like anybody who's ever gone out into the woods and taken their shoes and their socks off and let the river water run over their feet has felt connected to the Mother Earth. You know, you go out there and you just feel better. You just feel like a better person when you come out of it than you were when you went in. And that's something that's real, that's something that's tangible, that's something that anyone can see and feel
Yeah.
and relate to, and it doesn't really matter where you're from or who your parents are or what your belief system was. You know, it's something that's real and tangible, I guess. And it makes a lot of difference, at least to me.
Yeah. Have you ever done like landscaping or anything like that?
I mean, I'm a farmer.
Oh, lit. What up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you. I appreciate
I,
farmers so much.
absolutely. I'm actually really excited. I when my bracelet came off, I went on a little vacation, just so I could be somewhere that wasn't my house.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
And I got back and I was checking my tomato plant because it wasn't looking like it was doing too well. And there's just like the teeniest, tiniest little tomato growing, and it must have just budded last night or something. It's like you can barely see it, but I'm so excited to like watch it grow.
Hell yeah.
Because that's work that is rewarding, because it's like, you know, they talk about the addict's mind and like immediate gratification, right? Instant results. And if you do it right, you see those instant results. You can watch this plant grow. You can see your work paying off. You can see this thing that you created out of just throwing a couple of seeds into the dirt and, you know, adding the right nutrients to it. Sure, it's not as instant, but it's still pretty damn close. Like I've seen noticeable differences in plants from one day to the next.
I like this metaphor of like we're just kind of like the pile of dirt, and like whatever 2-3 things we do for our recovery is like, you know, those are the couple seeds, but that's really all it takes. Like I go to 2,
you know,
sometimes 3 meetings a week, the same meetings, but I know everyone there. That's my community. I feel safe. I feel they're all queer meetings. So, cause like for me, that's what works, is that's what makes me feel like I belong. And I did not, for the longest time, I thought I had to go to a meeting every day because that's what other people told me to do. And as much as that might work for someone else, and I'm not knocking that, that's just not going to a bunch of different meetings because someone told me to is not as effective for me as, you know, 3 or 4. So like 3 or 4 little seeds, and maybe the next day you'll notice a difference. And like that's a really good metaphor.
Absolutely. You know, you'll sit through most meetings checking your phone every 10 minutes being like, God damn it, is this shit over yet?
Oh yeah. Yep.
But there will always be, you'll hear one, even if it's just one person share their story, and you think, fuck dude, I gotta talk to this person after this.
Hell yes. Yeah.
And it's like that's the shit that makes it important. Fuck all the 12-step bullshit. It doesn't work for me.
Word.
Again, anything that I'm saying in regards to religion or AA or like things like that are just my own personal beliefs. You know, anybody should do what works for them.
And thank you for qualifying that. I always appreciate when the person I'm speaking to says it, because I feel like I don't say it enough on this podcast. Like, this is what works. Honestly, what works for me is talking to people one-on-one. This shit is keeping me sober.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and, you know, what works for me might not work for you. It might not work for my neighbor, but, you know, it might work for some struggling kid who doesn't know how to handle what's happening to them, you know, and it might be able to reach them. And, you know, like I was saying before you hit record, if I can take everything that happened to me and do one good thing with it, just one, then all of it meant something. It wasn't just these terrible things that happened to me. If I can share my story and have some kid coming out of jail for the same thing that I was just in for and hear me and know like, oh shit, this guy's been where I am and he seems to be all right now. Maybe I can approach him and maybe I can talk to him. And I can tell him like, look, dude, you're in for a fucking shitty road, but it will get better. It won't get better, but you'll learn how to get better. You'll learn how to live with it. You'll learn how to deal with it. You'll learn what to do with it. And, you know, eventually you'll find that you don't think of it every morning when you wake up. And, you know, it'll go from thinking of it every day to, you know, every other day, or, you know, once or twice a week, or once or twice a month. You know, I don't wake up in cold sweats anymore.
Word.
I don't toss and turn and get 2 hours of sleep at a time anymore. You know, and if someone had told me that when all of this first happened, I probably would have given them a fat lip or something, because
Yeah.
like, what the fuck do you know, right?
Right.
But god damn it, here I am. I'm in the best place that I've been in my life in a very, very long time. And that's not enough for me. I need to do something with it. I need to help people. I need to talk. I need to get the message out there. So when my accident happened, when the police, you know, finally cleared me to leave the scene and go home, the first place I went to was crisis services, because Jesus Christ, I couldn't fucking deal with this shit.
Word.
Um,
I mean, that's yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
Honestly, good for you for doing that and having that kind of self-awareness. I don't know what I do, but I don't think it would be that. So that's very
Right.
practical advice.
And like, if I had gone in there that day and the person who met with me had said, actually, you know what? There's this kid named Asa who has been where you are, and he's on the other side of it now. And he's running this peer-led group for people who have been either a long time ago or more recently where you are right now. Here's his phone number. Give him a call. Right. And I can't think of the fucking world of difference that would have made for me.
Word.
And, you know, just because I didn't get that doesn't mean that I can't make sure somebody else does. And I can make sure somebody else gets that. I can make sure that somebody knows that this shit happens every day. In 2018, there was 3,357 motor vehicle fatalities.
Yeah.
That's 10 a day. 10 people every day. And nobody fucking talks about it. You know, it's like a demonization sort of thing. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't we talk about this? Why can't we have dialogue? Why can't we have a conversation? Why can't we help each other? You know, and I don't want it to be that way, so I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, honestly, hearing you talk about it, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I am dramatic, but like in this instance, I'm not being dramatic. Like you definitely just gave me chills. Like just this idea that you can take something, and I had some trauma in my childhood where when it happened, even in the moment, I was thinking, and I don't know if this is what happened to you in the moment too, but you're just going, I just want to fast forward through the next 3 months to where this won't be as painful anymore. Like, I just want to, like, get out of this moment.
Just, like, talk to a doctor and be like, give me a medication that will give me the closest thing to cryostasis as you can, so I can just go to sleep right now, wake up 6 months from now, and be set. I don't want to deal with it. I'm good.
Yep. Yeah,
thank you.
Like, let the universe do its healing or whatever while I'm in a coma. Or cryostasis, right. Which is the coolest word I've heard today by like a long shot. But yeah, that was the feeling I had, and I remember because it was, I didn't know the word trauma, and I don't throw that word around, like, but like I didn't understand that, like, even 3 months later I was still gonna be getting flashes. I was still gonna be the cold sweats. It wasn't until 3 years later when I talked to somebody about it, and that could have been sooner. I could have opened up and said, this thing happened. Mm-hmm. It was really bad in the moment, but I just didn't talk to anyone about it. And because of that, I carried it around with me, like, everywhere I went, and didn't tell anyone. And everybody just thought I was, like, really anxious or, like, whatever, you know, which I was, but yeah, like, clearing the air by putting it out there. Yeah.
Right. You know, it's you know, dealing with the problem itself instead of just the symptoms of the problem, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I met with a therapist shortly after the accident, and they're like, you seem like you're really, you know, anxious and depressed. And I was like, no fucking shit, I just killed someone. What the fuck do you think? Like,
oh my God.
Of course I'm fucking depressed. What's wrong with you?
Did you, like, fire that therapist?
Yes, but for a different reason. Yeah, I told her about this other thing that happened in my life that was really dramatic and traumatic. And her response was to raise her eyebrows and say, "Are you sure that's how that happened?"
This bitch, who?
And
Oh man, let me find out. I will follow her to her car.
I stood up and I very calmly, very politely said, "Look, I don't really think that you and I work very well together, and I don't think you really know how to talk to people, and that's a problem given your line of profession. If someone's going to come to you with a real problem someday, you're not going to know what to say, and you're going to hurt someone.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be a party to that, so I'm going to find somebody else." And I just walked out of her office.
Jesus, that's the most mature fucking. I'm over here ready to cuss a bitch out and put Vaseline on my face, and you're like, you're like leading a full spiritual ass life. No, but like that is, first of all, very powerful. Second of all, I hope that she felt that shit in her stomach. I hope she's sitting there going, "Man, I wish I could wake up 3 months from now." No, but so I wouldn't really wish that on anyone. But sometimes, you know, people have to learn stuff, and I'm a teacher, and there's been times in my profession when someone has said something, like, it's mostly with parents. I have a hard time with like parent contact because I have a lot of students, so keeping in touch with everybody, it's like trying to block up a sieve. Like, you can't do it. It's just sand's gonna pour out one way or the other from that job. So I remember getting put in my place before and being like, you know, I needed to hear that. Like, I needed somebody to, and it sucked, but I don't know. I think it's really cool that you actually took the leap and did it, because that shit's brave. That's brave. And you weren't just like, fuck you.
I mean, I felt like I was right, you know, like I'd like to think that I have a fairly decent grasp on my emotions and how I feel. You know, I don't get the way that I did when I was a teenager anymore. I don't hurt myself. I don't I don't do any of these awful things that I used to do because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. You know, I meet with a therapist because I choose to believe that it's easier to just talk to somebody. But not a lot of people are like that who are seeing a therapist, you know, and say someone who's really goddamn struggling with the thing that I told her, you know, confides in her that, and that's her response. She's going to do a lot of fucking damage.
Hell
and that's
yeah.
not okay. You fucking took a responsibility on when you took that job. When you decided that this is what you were going to go to school for, and this is how you were going to make your living, you were going to pay your bills, was to, by helping people, then fucking help them. Anything else is just entirely unacceptable and shouldn't be stood for.
And questioning someone's trust, I feel like that's on page 1 of being a therapist.
Right.
101 is like, don't question somebody's. That's not the first thing you do. It's like, you definitely validate first. Like, that's, even I know that. Like, it's not, I don't know.
I remember like being so mad that I wasn't even angry. I was just like dumbfounded. I was just like, how can you what?
Yeah.
What just happened? How do you think that this is an okay thing to say? To, like, what's wrong with you? I was just so like completely stunned. There was no getting past it, and I wasn't going to.
That's the reason. Part of why I say it's so brave is I've had therapists say things to me where I was that angry of like, you're just like, how could someone be so like actually dumb? And instead of like addressing it in the moment, I'll just kind of power through the rest of the session and then just never go back. And like, that's like definitely been how I've dealt with certain shitty therapists before.
Right. And, you know, not everybody is comfortable, you know, speaking up and addressing those concerns. And that's perfectly valid. As long as I've been alive, I've always been the kind of person who stands up for the people who feel like they can't stand up for themselves. You know, I got suspended a lot in school because I would get into fights with people who were trying to start fights with other people. I think the worst physical altercation I got in high school, there was this gay kid in our class. He confided in me that, you know, he was gay, to which I replied, yeah, no shit. Like, have you...
Your real friends always know, hell yeah.
Like, have you met you? We've all known that you were gay since second grade, dude. Like, calm down. Like,
yeah.
It was after gym class, and, you know, it was like a locker room situation because of fucking course it was.
Right.
And people were like surrounding him and like shoving him, and I didn't even think. I don't even think. I just saw whoever was being the loudest, and I reacted.
Yeah. No, I have a picture in my head. Yeah. I was like, why?
uh,
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
I reacted, and I got expelled for it,
Oh
and
shit. You got
and
expelled for
give
that? That's bullshit.
and given the opportunity, I do it all over again
Hell yeah.
because it was the right thing to do.
Yep, that's the only time I ever had a fight in school was the same thing. Like some kid was like, not, he wasn't gay. Actually, he might be gay at this point, but we were too young at the time for it to be a thing. And it was a similar
Right,
situation. But I didn't get expelled. I also didn't like, I just kind of tried to break it up. But I think
right.
in that situation where you have to make a statement to show everybody else involved, like, you're not fucking doing this right now, like, and I'll be the one, I don't care, I'll be the one. Like, that's
Yeah,
what's up.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
When did you get sober?
I got sober 3 years ago, coming up on 4 soon. Actually, I was just tired. I'd burned all my bridges, and it just wasn't fun anymore.
Word.
I all the nights of chaos and degradation of myself and others, and just like decadence. It just stopped being fun. I craved something more,
Mm.
and I had finally burned my last bridge, and this person who I thought was going to be by my side my entire life um, wanted nothing to do with me anymore. And I called them one day, and they finally answered, and I was like practically on my knees, just begging them, like, please, like, help me. I'll do anything. Just fucking help me. And she sat me down with her dad, who is like some odd years, some crazy amount of time sober. I don't remember how long. And I didn't know that at the time. And she was like, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to come to my house. You're not going to fucking talk to me. You're not even going to fucking look at me. You're just going to sit on my couch, and you're going to talk to my dad about what's going on, and you're going to do what he tells you to do.
Word.
And if you get to a good place, call me. I'd love to reconnect. But until then, please leave me alone.
Shit.
Yep. And so, I went to her house. I sat down on her couch. I talked to her dad, and he brought me back to life, and it just wasn't worth it anymore. It wasn't.
Word.
I had lost everything, and the last thing I had left to lose was my life, and I'm sure I was close.
Damn, that's so beautiful. The power of like one alcoholic to another, though. And like
Right.
the fact that she gave you, because when I was drinking, I was so like, it sounds like it was a similar thing for you. I was so lost that I couldn't even think of what to do next. Even if it was just my shoes are untied and I really need to tie them, I couldn't do that. So to have somebody say,
Right.
you're going to do this, this, and this, and for it to actually work, I mean, so what
Right.
an act of like radical compassion from that.
Her dad's also a lifelong rugby player, so he could like throw me through a brick wall if he really tried to. So I was gonna listen to him.
Yo, rugby's the realest sport. It doesn't get any realer. I watched the girl's leg snap in a rugby match, and then I pretty much was like, "Can I just come off the field?"
And I'm sure she just sat on the ground and kept swinging.
Basically,
like, those people are fucking tough. It is hardcore.
Yeah, the stretcher came and she was still ready to keep playing. We're like, bro, your leg is fully snapped.
Like, dude, we can literally see your bones sticking out of your skin. Calm down, Rebecca. It's okay.
Oh my god. But rugby does have a lot of drinking tradition that goes along with it. So good for him.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to have tough skin to not get sucked back into that shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's one of the best people that I know.
And are you still in contact with the person that that girl you never thought you'd Okay, weird.
Yeah.
I have my fiance was my high school sweetheart, and we broke up partially because both of us were just a mess with drinking and everything, and we were toxic for each other. But we didn't think we'd ever get back together, and then literally 7 years later we did, and then she got sober, and then I just couldn't get it. And I almost lost her from it, honestly. Like this time last year, I thought I'd never talk to her again. And it just happened. It didn't just happen to work out. It was like, if I didn't get sober, it was done forever. But I happened to, I got into a good rehab is what it is. And that made all the difference for me. Yeah. Yeah, but that's what's up. So you're no 12-step which is cool.
No.
What do you do instead? I mean, I don't know. I guess that's the only framework that I have, but there are certain things I take or leave, you know?
I really just focus on my values and the life that I built for myself. Like, I'm in an all right spot right now. You know, I've never been one to like brag about like personal possessions because it's never mattered, and I've never had enough money to have personal possessions. But now I right over here in my apartment is a whole wall of musical instruments,
Oh, lit.
and
Yes.
yeah, I have 5 guitars, a banjo, 2 mandolins, 2 ukes. I'm finally somewhere in my life where I can do these things, and I can see this nice guitar shining at me in some window as I walk by a store, and go in there and buy it and have it not break my bank.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm finally like a real person and a contributing member to society, and I know that the second I start up, I lose everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it be immediate or slow, I'll be sitting in an empty apartment full of garbage and sadness. Which isn't to say that that's not what my apartment looks like now, but it's a different kind of trash and sadness.
It's like by choice. Like you could take it out if you wanted to.
Right.
When you're drinking,
right.
you don't really have a choice. You're like, yeah. That's how I feel. I mean, when I'm drinking, I should say. Yeah, I'm with you on the music stuff. That's what's up. That's some of where my first money went.
I was noticing the bass in the background. I was like, hell yeah.
Look at this shit. I got a MIDI keyboard.
Oh shit.
Underneath there's a Serato mixer. I DJ'd Pride last year actually.
Oh cool.
Yeah, it was lit. It was so fun. And I'm trying to do, there's a young people's thing for AA I'm trying to get, and they're doing a big dance Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's all New Year's Eve. Like the Friday is New Year's Eve, so the night before and after, but it's like a big sober party. So I was like, hell yeah, I'd love to be in control of that music. Ooh, yes, please. Because you know I'll go and I'll just be judgmental. And I do have
Absolutely.
Is there anything from your past life, you know, in quotes, like anything from when you were drinking and using that you kind of carried on accidentally and that you're working on? This is a new question I'm trying to ask because I'm noticing things I got to let go of, and I don't know if that's normal, you know?
I definitely find that I still lie to people for no fucking reason as just like a snap decision, like just like stupid shit that doesn't fucking matter. Like I'll get a phone call from a friend, and I'll be with someone. I'll be like, hey, hold on, I gotta step aside and take this, and I'll take the phone call, and they'll be like, who was that? And they'll be like, and I'll just without thinking be like, oh, you know, it was my mom, no big deal, and I'll put my phone away. And then I'll turn to them and be like, that wasn't my mom. I just lied to you. I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. No clue. It's just like ingrained into my brain. I don't know. It's so bad. I feel like such a douche every time. It's like it's not even a conscious decision. And I don't know. I hate it. I hate it so much. I want to not be like that so badly.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I do that shit too, but I'll be like I say I know when I don't know. Like my partner all the time, she'll be trying to explain. Even she does screen printing. I don't know shit about screen printing. She'll be trying to explain something. I'll be like, oh yeah, I know. Bitch, I don't know. I have no clue. I get so mad at myself. I have no clue what she's talking about. It just makes me, I don't know, maybe it's that it makes me self-conscious that I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know.
Right,
yeah.
right.
I two things I wanted to follow up on that I feel like I cut you off, and I want to make sure. One was you were going to say what your second high school was. I just wanted to know for my own because I didn't want to make sure you didn't end up at Turner's Falls or whatever.
No, fuck that.
Yeah, shit.
I'm Native American. I will not go to Turner's Falls High School. I don't know if you know the history behind Turner's Falls. Turner's Falls is named after fucking colonial who fucking came and like completely butchered and ravaged a Native American culture, buried them underground, and built Turner's Falls on top of it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so the fact that they were the Turner's Falls Indians was fucking heinous and foul. The fact that it's named Turner's Falls, they're trying to change it to Great Falls or literally anything other than Turner's Falls.
That'd be it would fit right on the sign. Literally anything other than Turner's Falls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I would refuse to go to Turner's High School.
Yeah.
I wouldn't walk in that building.
No, I didn't. I did not know that. So I'm glad you told me. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
our local history is pretty disgusting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Damn. You know, I grew up in Springfield, so the history I know is a lot of mob stuff. And you know, if I think of like the history of my city, it's like, yeah, it's all mob stuff.
It's like my mom's side of the family is all Irish people from Holyoke, so our history is not very great there either.
Oh yeah. That's we got Irish family from Holyoke. Yeah, and there was another thing I wanted to that. Oh, you were talking about the transition, the partial home. What was it called? The work.
Oh,
the
pre-release building.
Yeah, and I was wondering if they bring you to meetings or if you could talk a little more about that. That's what's up.
So at the pre-release work release building, or even actually at the minimum security, they take people to the eye opener. And at the pre-release work release building, you know, I was going to AA meet. I was going to the Looney Nooner in Northampton.
Oh, I love that meeting. Oh my god!
If anyone's ever been to the noon meeting in Northampton, you know why they call it the fucking Looney Nooner. Jesus goddamn Christ, those people.
I love that meeting. I go there and I'm like, I'm doing good.
Right. Best entertainment for $1.
Oh my god! Right.
Yeah. So every day, until I had gotten work, every day I'd go to the Nooner, and then from 1 till about 4-ish, I'd go to the Northampton Recovery Center and do whatever meetings they were having there, or just hang out. The Northampton Recovery Center is a great resource that I would highly recommend to people. Most everything they do is totally peer led, and they're not. They host what they refer to as all recovery meetings, as opposed to AA or NA, and they have this really cool bit about like the language that you use to introduce yourself and how it has an impact on your mind, because I know that it's just like the routine and the theme, but I get really fucking bummed out when I hear someone say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm an addict," or "Hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic." It's like, no, you're not. You're a fucking human being, first off, above anything else. And you're so much more than that. And like, I think that's my biggest problem with AA and the 12-step is just like the absolutely fucking defeatist language that they use. I feel like it's super problematic. This class taught us to like if I were introducing myself at a meeting, I would say, "Hi, my name is Asa. I am a person in recovery, and for me, avoiding things like alcohol and narcotics and troublesome situations." Because if you make someone repeat every goddamn day that they're an addict and an alcoholic, how are you going to expect them to stop thinking that they're an alcoholic or an addict?
Or to stop thinking like one, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I think I have thoughts on that. But go ahead.
I'd honestly never thought about it before. I never once entered my mind until I had that class at the NRC, and I was like, holy shit, that makes a huge difference.
I'm a person in recovery. I like that.
And then I started introducing myself like that, and I found that I felt better. I didn't feel like such a piece of shit after leaving a meeting. I felt like a person in recovery and not just another fucking addict.
Yeah. So my thoughts really important on that, and I'm not trying to change your mind, but what has worked for me is that I identifying as an alcoholic for me has helped for me to not forget that I have an issue with drinking, because I really have been in and out so much to the point where, like, if I have to drill it in my head that I cannot touch a drop of alcohol or I will be back row, you know what I mean? So for me, I had to do that in my
absolutely.
head,
and that is super, super important and super valid. And again, I want to reiterate that anything that I say is what works for me. It might not work for everybody else.
Yeah. But I love that though. I love a person. I think that makes perfect sense where I'm at now. I'm not going to forget I can't say that. That feels like it's jinxing me. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I get it. And I would like to work on myself more as a person in recovery. I like that. Right. All right. Yeah.
And again, what works for some isn't going to work for everyone. If someone needs to repeat it every day so they know what they'd be going back to were they to relapse, then more fucking power to them. They should keep doing that.
Yeah, because that's where I
But
have a built-in forgetter. Like I really will forget and just think I can have a beer.
if there's someone out there who hears themselves say that and it bums them out, then try that. See how that makes you feel. If not, whatever. Do your thing, man.
No, I love that. Yeah. So, person in recovery as an alternate. And I think that most meetings at this point, maybe because when I lived in the South, I lived in Nashville for a couple of years and Baltimore for a couple of years, and they are a little more stringent on if you identify as an addict, or what my experience was, they're more stringent on if you identify as an addict, go to NA, alcoholics, go to AA. And I find up here, especially in the Northampton area, if you say I'm a person in recovery, they don't give a shit what the first letter
Right.
of the A is, They're just like,
Right,
cool,
absolutely.
whatever.
I thought it was pretty good shit.
So I'm actually looking for, do they have like volunteer stuff at the recovery center?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I don't know currently. It's been a while since I've been in there. Once the virus shit started getting pretty serious, the sheriff who runs the jail decreed that nobody leaves the premises for any reason. So we lost our AA meetings, we lost recovery center, we lost work release, we lost everything. We couldn't even have visitors.
Oh shit.
So I haven't been since March sometime. So I have no idea what they're doing right now. To my understanding, yes.
All right, word. And have you been doing Zoom meetings at all, or what do you
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
That's what's up.
I attend their all recovery meetings, which is another great alternative because it's inclusive. Like you said, the NAs go to these meetings, the AAs go to these meetings, and it stays that way. Or like people get mad at you or something.
Right.
I don't fucking know. People are
Yeah.
stupid. But like all recovery meeting, like whatever it is that you're struggling with, even if it doesn't even have to be addiction, if you're just recovering from a bad depressive episode or agoraphobia or any of the many things that plague people
Word.
today,
Yeah.
you can go and sit and you can share your story and people will listen and they'll give a shit.
That's so
And
dope. Like it's more community oriented rather. I love
right,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Than trying to get everybody to fit into this one little box and give them this same 3 books, the big book, Living Sober, and
Daily reflections maybe, or the
Daily
12 and 12,
Reflections.
the 12
Yep.
and 12 or whatever. Yeah.
Yep, daily reflections.
Oh, yep, those ones. No, and going back to our God conversation, like it was, I guess it kind of still is super triggering to hear this word God and like the meetings that still do the Our Father. I mean, shit like that really did push me back out for a long time until I got desperate enough where it's like, now I really just need to do anything possible to not drink. But I love this idea that there's alternatives to that I haven't even checked out. So I appreciate you saying that. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's it's important stuff, and they're good folks, and I want to make other people aware that they exist because they certainly help me, and I've seen them help a lot of people.
It's called All Recovery.
Yeah, all recovery meetings. They happen at the Northampton Recovery Center. Write it down, do your research, see if it's something you're into.
Hell yeah. Throw that shit in the intro.
Stuff.
Yeah. I like to ask this. I know you said you had a lot of guitars and stuff, but if there's any surprise hobbies that you got into, I know you just came out of a rough ass year, but shit that just kind of surprised you about yourself that you figured out once you got sober.
There's a couple. I really, 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 really enjoy making bread.
Yeah.
I have no fucking clue why.
I love that.
I got this like from scratch carrot bread instructions a while back, and I got out of jail and I was sitting in my apartment and I was like, well, fuck, now what? And I'm just like looking through my cabinets and I find this and I'm like, fuck it, I guess I'm gonna start making bread.
Hey.
And I threw it all together and I pulled it out and I was like, I love this. It's so special because I made it all by myself.
And I bet it's delicious.
I'm gonna make 10,000 more pieces of bread. Yeah, so I really like making bread, I guess.
Right, and you think about, like, I think about telling mine is collecting cards, right? I think about telling my former self, that's what I was like. I would probably punch me in the face. I'd be like, "Wow, you're such a fucking dweeb!" Like, yeah,
Right.
like,
Right.
that's so cool.
I'm sure that there's others that I just can't think of right now. I'm sure I'll think of some at like 3 a.m. when I'm trying to fall asleep.
Oh yeah, always. It's always like that. Yeah, you can always
Yep.
shoot me a message. I have like a couple other questions I usually ask, and then we can. I don't know, but most like you've already kind of dropped some really good advice. But I usually just have people talk about if you were to be speaking directly to a newcomer or somebody who's still trying to get this or just getting sober. What kind of advice would you give them?
Learn a goddamn instrument.
Hey.
There will be nothing that will learn an instrument or a new language, something that will require a lot of attention, a lot of energy. It will be really time consuming because I think that the hardest part of a newly recovering person is all the free time that they suddenly have nothing to do with that they normally would have spent blasted or loaded, you know,
Yeah.
and they're just like sitting around on their couch thinking, well, fuck, this would be dope if I had some moonshine right now. You
Right.
know,
Right.
to get yourself past thinking about that and being able to spend time by yourself and be okay with that and be comfortable with it. Learn something new that takes a lot of energy.
That's awesome. That's amazing advice, dude. Are you in a
Hey,
band or anything?
not really. I've been more of a hobby player mostly because I don't really like people very much. And I tried playing with other people, and Northampton musicians, not every single one of them, but as just like a generalized group of people, are some of the most pretentious
I'm
twats
already
I've ever
laughing.
fucking
Thank
met.
God you said that. I'm
Oh my
already laughing, man.
god!
Yep. I know.
Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's I can't deal with it. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, it's certainly not everyone, not a blanket statement, but that is a thing
No,
with musicians
absolutely. But
where
it's
some of them are just so douchey. Like, come on, like, yeah.
like you played the Iron Horse once. Congratulations, Bucko. So proud of you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You're accomplished. 15 people bought tickets for your shitty show at the Iron Horse. You're
The
an
Iron Horse
accomplished
that
musician,
exploits
right.
all of their employees and doesn't pay anyone.
Right, exactly.
I know. I find that too, and we can cut any of this honestly, but like with the queer community, where if you're kind of like I'm like hyper mask or whatever, but like not technically transitioning, and I find a lot of like if I'm creating something, you have to be a certain type of queer to like promote your
Right.
shit, or like your shit has
Mm-mm.
to be a certain type of like if it's a tincture, you're good. If it's like a podcast, no. If it's a hip hop mixtape, absolutely not. Like certain things, just if it's jewelry, okay. If it's used button down shirts, fine. But if it's like my partner's
Yeah,
screen prints
absolutely.
and it's the same shit with her. Like she couldn't get in the queer exchange, and there's like 800 different people selling the same shit, and it gets it's almost like elitist in this like weird twisted way that I don't understand.
Yeah. I have my own problems within the community that I should probably just keep to myself.
Where
I think
I
I think
respect
my
that. I
biggest
respect it.
I think the biggest one is a blanket statement to all human beings. This is a controversial thought, especially with everything that's happening right now in the country. Is sometimes we just need to take it down a little bit, just a little bit. Just take like 25-30% off of whatever it is you're doing. Just chill out just a tiny bit. It's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be mad at you. It's all right.
And that
Like,
because that urgency turns into like this frantic anxiety and calling each other out, and it just turns into negative energy. Yeah, no, that's yeah.
right, absolutely. I just it's partially to blame for because of the way that I grew up. That just like I've never understood all of the fucking hate with people because where I grew up, I never came out of the closet. I never had to. I remember being a little kid watching Gilmore Girls with my mom and being like, "Ooh, Jared Padalecki's pretty hot," and my mom being like, "Yeah, right." And then
That's
10 years
awesome.
later watching Supernatural with my mom being like, "Ooh, Jared Padalecki's super hot," and my mom being like, "Dude, right?" It was never there was never a coming out. There was never this like thing that I overcame to become who I am. You know, nobody in my family. I have 3 siblings. None of them are straight, and like it wasn't. None of us ever had to come out. You know, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's because of the community that we lived in. Our community is like super positive and cheerful and happy and progressive, and they welcome everybody.
Yeah.
So I never really understood. I guess that's a point of privilege, but I never really had the struggle of like, oh, you know, these people don't accept. Like, yeah, I got called the F word a lot, but I was a teenager in the 2000s. Everybody got called an F word a lot.
Yeah, I used to say that's so gay in high school. I'm canceling myself right now for that shit.
Right.
I used to say that shit all the time. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm gay, so it's fine. It's like, no, it's still not fine, but I didn't know I was 16.
I think my favorite thing to do to my little brother who's gay is anything that he does, I'll be like, man, you're fucking gay if you do that. And he's like, yes, I am. And I'm like, congratulations, buddy, you get the joke.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I do it with my students when they say that's so gay. I'll be like, I think you mean weird and annoying, because like sometimes they'll do like boys will like touch each other's butts to be weird and annoying, and it's like he's just being weird and annoying. Like, it's like, ew, that's gay. It's like, well, maybe it is, but we should ask him about it first before we make assumptions, you know, or to say like dumb shit like that, or like, I'm gay and that's definitely not gay, you know.
And like, I've always been the kind of person, like, if I do something that offends someone, I guarantee I had no idea. I'm basically a golden retriever. I don't know when I did something wrong. Just tell me and I'll apologize and I won't do it again. But how am I supposed to know if you don't fucking tell me?
That's the best way to be, right? Like, yeah, set the boundary. I'm happy to follow it. I'll even apologize for not knowing about it, even though there's no way I could have known about it.
Yeah, and I'll beat other people up for passing your boundaries.
Hell
but
yeah.
I don't know them if you don't tell me what they are.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. Just set your boundaries, y'all. Set your boundaries, then get you a friend that can beat people up. I'm a real good I'm a hype person. I'm like hype beast. Like, I'll be like, oh, they're gonna fight each other, but I can't fight for shit. I'm so soft, dude. I'm so soft. I'm like all talk. Soft. I'm literally all talk. Yeah. like babies eating prune juice. Yeah. Soft. Like so soft. So I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine. I was with him as he was getting the tire replaced on his car. We were hanging out today. We were waiting at McDonald's. We had gotten some food. And this fucking dildo pulls in with his flashy, shiny, white convertible, not wearing a mask, pulls like horizontally into a handicap spot. And me and my buddy just look at each other. I'm like, this fucking douchebag. And he's like, are you going to say anything? And I'm like, no, I'm 6'2", covered in gnarly tattoos, relatively built, with a big fucking K-bar Bowie knife strapped to my leg. Wait, you're 6'2"?
He's gonna call the police. He's gonna call the police as soon as I look at him.
Oh,
like,
shit.
they're like,
Yeah.
I can't. I have to be aware of like how I'm perceived by people who don't know me. But the funniest thing about that is like, I can't watch Insidious because it's too scary.
Hell yeah, me too.
Like
paranormal movies.
I'm so soft. I'm like, it's so bad, but I don't appear it, and it's like a problem because like I know that I'm soft,
right?
But this random person looking at me doesn't.
I know, dude. Oh my god.
I got to be like super careful.
But saying things about like how you're perceived too, somebody like that with the top down and everything obviously doesn't give a shit about or wants that perception of like what is the end goal is my question. What is the goal of driving that car, parking like that, not wearing like is your thing like ooh look at me? Like what is your ooh look at me? Like is it just daddy issues? Like what is it?
It was like a fully grown adult. It was like a grown-ass man. He was probably in like his 40s or 50s.
He just got a divorce. His kids hate him. He also got gonorrhea from a stripper. I mean, I think you're supposed to say sex worker now. Whoops.
He definitely has ED or something. Like he is unhappy about something he cannot change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he just needs to let the entire world know, hey guys, look at me. I'm a douchebag. Please stay away from me. I'm not ready to talk to people.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, we took his inventory, bruh. But I have to like
Right.
because as I like work through my own stuff and I start to notice things that sick and kind of sick and twisted like things that people in my life do where I'm like, "Oh, you're actually toxic." Like I thought I was a bad person for dropping the ball the 4, 5, 6, 7 times I canceled on you, but really I probably just had anxiety cuz you're a piece of shit.
Right.
And you don't know that when you're drinking and using. You just I always just beat myself up like, "Oh man, I didn't call or hit up that friend again." Well, that turns out that friend really sucks ass. Like,
Yeah. Important lessons to learn. Hard lessons to learn, but still.
hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, you asked me a little bit ago, what are some important things to do, advice to newcomers? Get better friends.
Mm,
Because I promise you, whoever sat there and watched you struggle and didn't say shit is not your goddamn friend.
hell yeah.
So find people who actually give a shit about you, because I promise you people do. And even if they're people you haven't met yet, people give a shit.
Mm.
I know that I am unable to not give a shit about people. Um, like I think about the dude who I held the door open for, and I hope he's having a good day. Like it's impossible for me to not give a shit about people, and there are plenty of people like me around. And like, get better friends.
Hell yeah. Damn. Okay, I got it. You're the perfect person to ask about this, and then pretty much want to wrap up. But because we're just talking about being soft, right? And one thing I'm
Right.
noticing in sobriety is like I'm actually like this is gonna sound cocky, but like I'm actually like a super nice person, and I used to act so terribly, and like I don't. What
Right.
is it about stopping that self medicating that like it brings out this like I'm like, oh my god, I'm a
Um,
sweetheart. I had no fucking clue.
I think I think you're just like aware of your actions. You're sudden you don't have this like mind dampener, this like um tinted glasses that's not showing you the whole picture. You're finally seeing everything. And it's like, if I cancel plans on my girlfriend so I can go hook up with some random chick in a hotel, me being sober, I'm gonna see that and be like, holy crap, I'm a fucking piece of shit. I should fucking get like punched or something,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's a terrible thing to do to a human being.
Word.
So it's like, you're aware. You see things. You're not numb to it, and you realize that like this isn't the way to be. And I think that it is just like heavily ingrained in human nature to want to help people and to want to be good. And of course there are always going to be exceptions to everything, and as a whole human beings are fucking garbage, but a lot of us still try
Yeah.
to do good, to do the right thing, to try to help people. And I think that the desire to want to help people is something that exists inside of everyone. And if you ignore it for too long, it goes away. And that's how evil is created. But I think as a whole, it's something we all have inside of us. And when we're drinking or we're using, we're suppressing that side of us, and we just don't feel it, we don't see it, we don't think about it. And then suddenly you're not doing it anymore, and you're sober and you're eating at a restaurant, and you see this waitress look really stressed, and without even thinking about it, you give her a $20 tip because you can. And
Word.
then you walk in,
Yeah.
and then you walk away, and you're like, I never would have done that before.
Absolutely. That would be my last $20.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean,
Yeah. So like that awareness, I love that. Yeah.
yeah, that's my take on it anyways.
No, that's great. I mean, I don't know why there was barely even a question, so I feel like you fielded that shit like an NPR ass pro. But yeah, before we head out, I guess I just wanted to make sure you had like a chance if there's anything else you wanted to say about your situation with the I don't know what to call it the vehicular situation. That sounds like I'm avoiding it, but if
um
there's anything else you wanted to say about it,
um keep your eyes on the road.
word.
Shit happens in the blink of an eye. You don't have to be fucked up. You don't have to be distracted.
Word. And then if anybody
And
did, let's say somebody does reach out to me about your story, could I send them your way? if they needed somebody to talk to? Okay.
100%.
That would be lit. So if you're listening to this and you or someone you know might need to just reach out and talk to somebody, I'm gonna send you Asa's contact information.
Absolutely.
Well, yo, thank you so much for being on the show. Like, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was good to share my story.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
It was really nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. Hopefully I'll see you around.
Hell yeah, take care.
Yeah, be well.
You too. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks again to Asa for being on the show and being so vulnerable and sharing your story. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. I'm sure there are other people out there that can relate. If so, please hit me up, Sober During Crisis on Instagram, @SoberDuring on Twitter. I do have a Facebook group page thing. I haven't spent a lot of time trying to build that yet, but if you want to, you can follow me on Facebook, Sober During Crisis. I also keep forgetting to plug this. My cousin Maureen and I, she was the first episode ever called Don't Pick Up Today, No Matter What. We have our own kind of spin-off podcast. Not really. We have a separate podcast that we get to do because we're both sober and we both really like music. It's called Stars of the States. We each pick an artist from a state, starting with Alabama, going to Wyoming, and we talk about that artist or musician's bio and just kind of riff on that. It's been really, really fun, and we're both sober comedians, so we'd love the support. If you like this show, you might like the other show. And yeah, that's about it. Look, no matter what happens in the world today, I'm just not gonna drink today, no matter what. Peace.